Hi, everyone. it's, sorry. It's Nina Collins.
And Hillary Richard.
And we're going to try and bring you like an episode of Raging Gracefully on Zoom.
Yay.
What is Raging Gracefully, Hillary?
Well, Raging Gracefully is a podcast that originated out of the Wolfer community, as we all who are listening must know, of women over 40. And generally speaking, we try and address topics that are of interest or concern to that demographic, namely ourselves and our friends here on the app. And we usually have an organized subject and a couple of guests, and we put some real thought into them before we do them. We're in the middle of a health crisis, so what you get today is me and Nina, and we're going to talk about sort of what we've been doing to cope during the pandemic. And you guys can write in and give suggestions too, which would be great, especially because Nina and I pretty much watch the same TV, and that's one of the things we're going to be talking about. But Nina, why don't you cue up some music so people feel like they're really listening to the podcast?
Yeah, I'm going to play our theme music, and then I'm going to find this on the app so I can read questions if you guys have questions. But let's give you a little taste of our... Oh, I think there might be a YouTube ad for... Oh, no? It's Storm Large's 8 Miles Wide.
What is it, Nina? It's our anthem.
It's our anthem. We love this song. We think it's really funny. And
all of my life, I've never fit, but I won't complain and I won't quit. I am enormous. Get used to it. Everyone tells me I'm too much.
All right, I think people get the general idea.
No, we have to hear the...
Oh, okay.
To be. Okay, I love that song.
All right, and you know what? If you haven't done this already, listeners, you should watch that video, Storm Large, 8 Miles Wide on YouTube. It's honestly my favorite music video in the world. I mean, putting aside how much I absolutely love the song and how much I love Storm Large, but the video itself is great.
It really is super funny. All right, now I'm calling up this on the app, then I'm going to turn off my sound, then I should be able to see if we have listeners and anyone's asking questions.
So Nina, one of the things I thought we'd talk about today was what we're...
Hold on, Sydney, why? Even...
Nina, one of the things I thought we'd talk about
Hold
today
on. Even though my sound is off, Hillary, it's...
I've popped back in to help. I think that sound is on, perhaps on maybe your phone or computer. Let me double check. Mine is silent.
I just turned my phone off, but I'm still hearing the app. I could turn the app off, but then I can't see if people have...
I think that sound is it's me. Can you just, the side button on the left of your phone, can you just click that down while you're watching?
Oh, got it. I'm sorry, I'm such a retard.
No worries, we're all learning.
Can't say that.
All right, oh, sorry.
All right, I'm going quiet again.
All right,
Thank you, little IT elf, Sydney. So anyway, Nina, I thought one of the things we'd talk about is people are watching, I think, a profound amount of television. And as you know, but maybe people who are watching don't know, I had foot surgery on January 7th. So I've basically been sheltering at home
since
February,
January.
March, April, 3.5 months. So I've broken Netflix and I'm waiting for some new platform to be introduced to give me something else to watch.
I don't know how you're surviving, honestly. That's just really a fucking long time to be at home.
Yeah, it's a real fucking long time. I mean, at least originally people were able to visit and a lot of friends did visit. So I wasn't totally quarantined, but really I haven't barely left the house and it's horrible. Anyway,
Right. Do like our top 10 shows of the last few months?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the suggestions when I was first recovering from my surgery, I got from you. And they proved to be some of my favorite things. So you made me watch Last Tango in Halifax.
My favorite show of the last 6 months, which was
Fucking
recommended to me
fantastic.
on the Wolfer. I love that show.
And then you took little deviating side turn to follow two of the actresses, right, from that show who we love.
So then I watched Split on Hulu. So in Last Tango at Halifax, there are these two fabulous female actresses of our generation, and then one of them is in Split on Hulu, or maybe Splits. No, I think Split. It's about
Is
three
that the
divorce.
one about the divorce firm?
Yeah.
Split. That was
was
excellent.
fun. That was super fun.
And then what was the other one with the Caroline character in it?
Shit, I can't remember. Maybe I should Google it because she was great.
Let's talk it down. I'm kidding.
The Caroline character in Last Tango at Halifax, I would pretty much watch in anything. I really, really, really like her.
You know what else she's in other than the one that we're forgetting is there's one called, or maybe this is it, Father, Mother, Son.
Oh yeah.
It's like a British version of Succession.
That's the reason we forgot it, because it wasn't that good, honestly.
It was sort of creepy because she plays like a Trump-like figure, and it just became too realistic. And I had to stop watching
it's okay. But that is one of the things that's scary about this whole thing is like very little is standing out. And now like I'm watching something every night and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like last night I watched The World on Fire with Helen, from Mad About You, Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
It's like a World War II thing, and I really love World War II things and historical things. Actually, sorry, I'm having vodka, so I might digress a little. There's a little interesting thing about when I watched The World on Fire last night, because it's a World War II drama, and Helen Hunt plays this really kind of dour, humorless American journalist, and she looks like kind of frumpy, and she's like our age. And the real action is with these three young characters, a young sexy man and two young sexy women, one Polish, one English.
You had me at one young sexy man.
And they're all like 25. And it really was one of those like feminist moments where you're like, oh, the old lady is invisible and boring and the young people are sexy and attractive and we're now old and invisible. I mean, it's like fine, you watch it anyway because you've got nothing else to do, but it was a little bit of a bummer in that.
Okay, well, you know what I just finished that I loved?
What?
Is Anne with an E, which my friend Ina suggested. You two are the ones whose television suggestions I most closely follow. So Anne with an E is an adaptation of the Anne of Green Gables story. I haven't even seen Lipstick in 3 months, let alone thought about putting
this
on my list.
Aspect here.
Anyway, as you know, the Anne of Green Gables story, plucky orphan, a farm, yada, yada, a romance. I love a good romance. So the thing that was great about it was the girl who plays Anne was just fucking fantastic. Pete thinks she looks like Helga. You remember the Helga?
I looked at it, I have to say, and I was like, I don't want to watch something about an orphan. And I also just want to say that Vicky Simon is watching, and she said she just read about Last Tango in Halifax, must watch. Yes, Vicky, you must watch. You will love it.
You must watch it, Vicky. Because the premise of Last Tango is that it's a story about these two elderly people who were in love in high school and then their romance was thwarted. Don't want to give them spoilers. And that sounds sort of dull, but the real action is in their families, right? They each have like a truly disturbed daughter who's fabulous.
They're not truly disturbed. They have daughters just like us.
Yeah, they're wolfers.
50-something-year-old daughter. She's got a 50-something-year-old daughter. In their lives, there's like a class issue and there's a physical distance issue. They live in like different towns.
There's a lot of sex. I think that's all we need to say about it. Is there's a lot of sex.
But not in like a Harlequin romance thing.
No.
That I can't get into during quarantine is that that show that everyone's watching, Outlander, based on the Diana Gabaldon novels. We've not talked about that, have we?
I've not seen it. People have recommended it, but I'm not really a big period drama person.
It's very bodice rippery, and it's super sexy.
But let me just say one final thing about Anne with an E. Yes, you cry because she's an orphan and terrible things happen to her until she gets adopted by this family at Green Gables. On the other hand, it's worse than your life. And there's constant redemption each episode. You cry, you laugh, and you applaud the plucky orphan. By the way, my family has said if you say fucking plucky orphan one more time, you're going to have to find somewhere else to live. The great hit I thought was Unorthodox, which, I don't think we've talked about that much because everyone's probably seen it.
I don't think everyone has. Cara said she just watched it last night.
Oh.
Everyone needs to watch Unorthodox. The
Really
only bad thing about Unorthodox is it's only 4 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's basically a night of entertainment, but it's fabulous.
It's a good night of entertainment. Now, I binge watched the entirety of Schitt's Creek, which I think was like 6 or 7 seasons in about a week and a half. And I see you making that little face of yours that you end up, if you watch it for long enough, which for me was 4 episodes, loving the characters in it. And honestly, I felt while I was watching it like that was my real family, because I spent a lot of time with them all day. And then I would go to dinner and I'd be like, who are you people? Where's David? Bring me hilarious gay David.
So I've only seen 1 or 2 episodes. So who's the character you like the most? The father, the mother?
The son. I mean, the mother's outrageous too. Catherine O'Hara is such a fantastic actress. And just her fucking wardrobe is worth watching it.
I really need to try it again. I'll try it again tonight.
Get to at least 4 episodes and then we can circle back.
Okay.
So, what else? Mindhunter, which I loved and happened to have slept with one of the leads. So that was a little surprise pearl that I didn't know when I started watching it.
That's a good one. Mindhunter? I don't even know what that is.
It's about the sort of beginnings of the serial killers, study part of the FBI.
Okay.
The behavioral.
I'm finding that I don't want really violent things. Like a good friend recommended The Tunnel on Amazon Prime, which is this British English thriller. And normally I really like a good thriller, but it's just too violent.
I don't like violence. If I could watch Mindhunter, anyone could. I can't even watch Killing Eve because it's too violent.
Yeah, me either. Sherry Brennan yesterday on the Wolfer Zoom party call, and those parties have been super fun, by the way. Sherry recommended something called The Indian Detective, which I promptly went and looked up. I'm having a very short attention. I'm impatient in the best of times, and now I'm ridiculous. So I looked at it for 10 minutes, and I was like, I don't know, it's not quite doing it for me. But maybe The Indian Detective. Sherry thought it was great.
Everybody keeps telling me to watch Peaky Blinders, but I see the little costumes, and I'm like, I don't want to watch Peaky Blinders.
Either.
People with actual normal clothing.
All right. Can we move on to a different subject? Can we move on to beauty for a second?
Wait. Before we go, I want to give 2 recommendations. Okay. So the BBC has a piece in their culture section. You can find it at bbc.com/culture/story. The best TV series to binge on lockdown. And they have things like Call My Agent, which I've seen. It's fabulous. It's in French. They have series from all over the world. So it's not just what we're watching here in America on Netflix.
Can you text me that, Hill?
Yep. And then the second thing is Vulture just recently, like in the last week or so, did a piece called The Top 100 or the 100 Best Shows on Netflix Right Now. So it's very contemporary, up to date. You just Google Vulture and Google that. And now, if you would like, we can either move on to books, which is a bit of a barren subject. I usually read a book or 2 a week, and I have read maybe 4 books in the last month and a half, and I feel like other people are having the same problem. Is it an attention span issue? What do you think?
It's actually weird. Why are we having this problem? Because I'm personally not, I'm not struggling with extreme anxiety or depression right now. I'm kind of like, this is really weird, and I'm kind of bored, and every day is the same, and the world is scary. I mean, but I'm not freaking the fuck out. So I don't know why, because usually when I've not been able to read in my life, like post-divorce, I couldn't really read, like post-real trauma. I mean, I guess maybe you could argue this is more trauma than we're aware of. I don't know, but I'm not able to really read either. The one book that I'm super interested in, that I've been reading about 2 or 3 pages a day of, which is bizarre, is this Japanese novel by Miko Kawakami called Breasts and Eggs. It's a novel out by Europa Editions. It just came out like last week. And Haruko Murakami, the fabulous Wind Up Bird Chronicles guy, says,
I love Murakami. Yeah.
He says it took my breath away. And it's so beautiful. It's a very beautiful edition. And it's basically a book. It's a contemporary Japanese novel about 3 women, 2 sisters and the daughter of one of the sisters in modern day Tokyo.
It sounds great, although I would say that's really maybe not the right blurb for this pandemic.
It took my breath away. It's hilarious. So this is the only thing I'm interested in reading. And the only other thing I can really say about reading is that I keep thinking I should read a really great mystery, but I don't know. I just can't.
Well, I have a couple of suggestions.
Okay.
So, as you know, if from our Wolfer newsletter, I thought Jenny Ophil's Weather was just one of the best books.
Oh, Joanna Hirshon's book. Do you have that with you?
She was next on my list, except I lent her book already, so I don't have a visual aid, but Joanna Hirshon's St. Ivo, which is a haunting, beautiful, beautiful
that's
novel.
A great recommendation. We both read it in manuscript. It's a fantastic novel. And if you look up the New York Times review, they gave it an incredible review a few days ago.
Beautiful review. Like, it's one of those times where you feel like the reviewer really understood the book, I thought.
Yeah, and Jo is also an amazing person.
She is, and she's beautiful.
She's beautiful and smart, and she's married to a successful artist. She's
handsome.
Handsome.
But a friend brought me this, The Thing Around Your Neck, which is a collection of short stories by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and I really like her writing, and I just started them, and it's fantastic.
That sounds fun. Her novel Americana was pretty much one of my favorite novels of the last 5 years, but I have not read anything else.
She's got a couple of other books that I've read that are very good.
I know Yellow Sun. There's a yellow one, purple
Yellow
one.
Sun, I think it's called. And then on Sunday, a week ago Sunday, the New York Times book review, the front page had a review of this book, a nonfiction book, which I don't read that much of, by man, which I really don't read much of, but it was such a good review. It's called Hidden Valley Road. I think I told you about this.
Oh yeah, you did.
By Robert Kolker. And it's about this family that had 12 kids, 9 of them were boys, and 6 of the boys were schizophrenic. And it's fascinating. And, it was at a time when, schizophrenia is not really that well understood and treated now compared to other mental health issues. But back during this family's struggle, it really,
which was when,
basically they just blamed the mom.
The 70s? When was this?
Yeah, I think it was even earlier than that.
Well, the moms get blamed always anyway, but yeah.
But I had a thought, and that is for people who are having a hard time really focusing and can't read, like a really good book that might take a little attention, like you. So there are a couple of series that I think are really good and easy, and I think reading a book in a series it gets you invested.
Are you about to say Louise Penny?
She is on my list. I was going to start with Jacqueline Winspear, and since you like war stories, they start before World War I.
Jacqueline Winspear is also interesting because she's one of Hillary Clinton's favorite writers, and so I bought a couple of her books when Hillary was running for president. But I discovered that I don't really like reading about war. I only like watching war. So I was not that into the Jacqueline Winspear, even though I think they're supposed to be fantastic. And I
love them. I've read every single one of them. The main character is this woman, Maisie Dobbs, who's like an investigator /
All right, maybe I should go back. I have a few of them here, and I did pick one up. But I've also.
And then I was going to say Louise Penny's Inspector Gamache series, because it's such a bucolic, that the little town that it's set in, Three Pines.
Yeah.
You just want to go there and have a croissant and some mug of cocoa or some shit. And even though, it's a murder sort of thriller, police procedural, I didn't mind the violence because it's not for me so real when you're reading about it.
No, they don't seem so real. I've been thinking about whether to try and get some Louise Penny's, because there's the other aspect of all this, right, is supporting your local bookstores. So I keep thinking, should I call the Sag Harbor bookstore, the East Hampton bookstore, and go pick up some mysteries? I really actually should just fucking say you have to read every day for a few hours, because it's getting a little pathetic. Like I wake up at noon every day. Honestly, it's really
11.
And then I clean for like an hour, which I find very satisfying. I take out the ammonia and the gloves, like I really Clorox, the Comet. Yeah. I'm into the cleaning of the bathrooms, the kitchen, the vacuum. And then I do yoga, and then I go for a walk. And then it's like 5 o'clock and it's time for a drink and TV. And
time to start cooking dinner.
Well, you've been cooking a lot, which is impressive. See, Hillary, when we first got on this call, was like, we're only doing this for 20 minutes. I was like, I don't know, we could probably talk for a really long time. We could cover cooking, and then I would like to cover beauty, because I've been doing all these.
Beauty's all yours, as you can see. But one other thing is I also find Anna Quindlen's novels very accessible, not hard to read.
I am a huge Anna Quindlen fan, and if you've never read Anna Quindlen, listeners, if anyone's listening at all, Google Anna Quindlen Life in the 30s. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time when we were in our 20s and 30s. She had a column in the New York Times. Do you remember it, Hillary?
Yes, I loved it. Yes.
So great. Life in the 30s is fantastic, and there are a couple published editions of those columns, but her novels are not that great.
Well, they're not great, but they're not hard to read is my point. My point is right now, I'm not able to read great.
True, you're right. And I love her. I mean, she's
and I'm not trying to slam Anna Quindlen. It's a particular type of book, what I would consider to be like a beach read, where you know, you're talking to your friends and you're reading, but she's a good writer. You know, her columns are great.
Fair enough.
It's not deep shit. It's not deep shit. Now, on cooking, you know, it's interesting you would say that, because when we first became friends, you were really not much of a cook. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory. You would say that.
Not just when we became friends. Never. I have never been.
I remember maybe the first time I was at your house for a dinner party and I ended up doing the cooking. Do you remember that?
I always like to say about myself, I'm a very good entertainer. I'm a good shopper. I'm a great cleaner. I'm a good organizer. But yeah, the cooking.
But now you're cooking. That's what I'm saying. This is the benefit of the coronavirus. You have produced enchiladas, beautiful quinoa salad.
Yeah, no, I've been doing pretty well. I mean, although I have to say my favorite recipe of the whole pandemic has been my tuna casserole, which is the so I said to Ruby, my daughter, I said, this is the most white trash thing I've ever made. And she was like, God, you're being so classist. What's wrong with you? I was like, sorry, it was just a joke. But
life with a teenager.
Yeah, but it's true. I've made enchilada. I learned how to make enchiladas. I've made a lot of oatmeal cookies. I've made rice pudding, but the tuna casserole is seriously the best thing. Can I give you the recipe? Because it's so good.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so
I'll never make it, by the way, but please.
I'm actually thinking about making it again tonight. It was that good. So it's a bag of egg noodles. You cook them. Then you mix them in a bowl with a can of cream of mushroom soup, Campbell's, and a large can of tuna in water. And then you put a little red pepper and maybe a little paprika, not too much, because that's always one of my many mistakes, and half a cup of milk, and you stir it. And I didn't do peas because I didn't think we had peas, but it turns out we do have peas, which is one of the reasons I want to make it again. They're in the bottom of the freezer. But anyway, then you put it in a big casserole dish, and then you cover it with shredded cheese. And I did like mozzarella and cheddar, all prepackaged. I mean, and I just want to say to our listeners, I'm not this tacky generally. Like, this is like a bizarrely hilarious, awesome recipe. So then you cover it with cheese and you cook it for 20 minutes. And it basically is like, it's like fantastic macaroni and cheese with a little bit of tuna. And it's so good.
All right. Well, what I'm going to recommend to everyone is the New York Times cooking app, because as you know, I cook a lot anyway.
She's a good cook.
And I'm a decent cook, and I tend to, when I'm cooking for my family, rotate like the same 6 things 4 days a week, you know, whatever. Tonight we're having pork chop. It's because it's boring to cook every night. And especially when you're like me and I have a 15-year-old who only eats like, you know, 12 things. And then I have an older daughter who's a vegetarian, whatever. It's complicated. So I've been cooking for 6, and I've been branching out. And sometimes I'm branching out just like making things up. Like I made this artichoke lemon cream pasta the other day. That was just unbelievable. But mostly I've been using the New York Times app, and they have this series of, you know, you can subscribe to weeknight dishes that I've been cooking from for a while anyway.
Melissa Clark and I went to college together. We were friends.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Well, and so they're easy. They're like designed to be, you know, take you a half an hour maybe of prep. And so they're perfect and they're good and interesting. So anytime I want to cook anything, I just Google the name of it and New York Times. And that's basically the cooking I'm doing.
So I've also, Gail Colson just made a comment, cover your tuna casserole with potato chips. And I know people
this
say
is what I said when you told me about it the first time.
Potato chips, and also that's actually like a little bit like a step too far in terms of tackiness. Like, am I really going to do that?
I mean, that's like a quintessential tuna casserole.
I don't know.
Anyway, I recommend the New York Times app. I've also taken to doing some baking, which has really, frankly, not been ideal for the waistline. So I can't really recommend anything there. But Nina, I barely showered. I washed my hair today because I knew we were doing this, probably the first time in a week and a half. And I think I have something other than a t-shirt on for the first time in weeks. So to the extent we're going to talk about beauty or anything like that, I think you have to sort of take the laboring more here.
Okay, but before we go there, I want to also say recipe-wise that the Dutch baby has been this really fun discovery of the quarantine, and it's due to Cara Haley, our beloved admin and mod. Cara posted about it, and I was like, what's that? And I'm a huge pancake maker. I love like gluten-free pancakes. My mother made pancakes all the time. I love pancakes. And it's this super easy to make. In fact, I ordered a cast iron pan because I don't have one here. I made it. It didn't come out quite as well as it should, but now I think everyone's made one. Hillary made one, Tulani made one, and it's super easy. So just
I don't like pancakes. I make them for my family all the time and I don't like them, but this was so good. I ate like half of it.
It's like a huge pancake in a cast iron pan, and it's full of eggs and butter, and it's
thin and airy, and it's so much better than a pancake.
So that's been a quarantine.
Everyone should be making the Dutch baby. And all you have to do is Google Dutch baby New York Times, because that's where the recipe came from.
Exactly. It's the Florence Fabricant recipe we really like. Okay, so beauty. I am not like that much of a beauty product person, but I've been so bored, and don't tell my boyfriend because he gets really upset when I go out in public at all. But besides going grocery shopping, the only other thing I've done in quarantine is go to CVS. Like, you need shampoo and you need prescriptions. And so every time I go to CVS, I buy weird things. Like I bought these gel fantasy nails. These are like press-on nails, which I haven't actually put on yet, but they make me happy looking at them. Okay. And then I bought these curlers, these like hilarious foam curlers, which when I was a child, my mother used to wear these to sleep a lot. And then I, as an adult, sometimes have gone through phases wearing them, and my girls and I have done it, and it's really fun. You like wash your hair at night, you take like a really nice shower, and you like use your salt scrub, which you can also use baking soda and coconut oil, and then you roll your hair, and when you wake up in the morning, you look like a 40s movie star. And then I ordered.
That would require me to actually care about what I looked like when I woke up, as you say, in the morning.
Well, you should. Sweetie, I dare you to try this because they're super fun. And you wake up in the morning and your hair is like crazy curly, and then you like, you tease it out, and then you look, honestly, you look like a 40s movie star. You should try it.
Yeah. Maybe if I'm ever allowed to go outside again, I'll try it.
You can order them on Amazon, and they're like $12.99.
Oh, wait. I just need to go back to our book discussion for one quick second.
Okay.
There is a new website that aggregates independent booksellers.
Oh, I saw this. Ruby sent it to me.
And so we have to find the link, and that's where people should be ordering their books, not from Amazon.
I have the link, although I will say, I went on, my daughter Ruby's very, very politically correct and was super upset about this. And she hates Amazon with a passion.
We all. It's a love-hate thing.
Love-hate thing. But I went on their site, and I was not super impressed. Hold on one sec. Delete. Okay. It's bookshop.org. Okay,
well, and also there are independent bookstores that are online. I think Books Are Magic here in Brooklyn is online, and you can order from them.
My agent told me that weirdly barnesandnoble.com is doing better right now than Amazon, that they're delivering faster and they have better stock on books.
And that's because everyone fucking hates Amazon. I mean, he's getting wealthy during the pandemic while everyone else is going broke.
I mean, I think the answer is really to call your local bookstores and ask them to deliver or go pick up outside, because you want to support them. You want them to be big. Okay, but wait, back to beauty.
Back to beauty.
So I don't know if anyone remembers this. It's called Aztec Secret Indian Healing Clay, the world's most powerful facial, deep pore cleansing, natural calcium bentonite clay. My mother used to use this, and it's cheap. It's like $12.99 on Amazon, and you mix it with apple cider vinegar, and then you cover your face, and I really love it. So I've been doing that like every other day.
Well, I have like 3 bottles of apple cider vinegar, but I'm missing the weird clay.
Now you just need the clay. And then the other thing is, one of the very few things I requested from Brooklyn when my children came out was to bring my Revlon thingamajig. So just before this call, I blew out my hair. This took 10 minutes. Not that it's so great, but
it looks pretty good.
Not bad. Wait, hold on. Let me find us again on the app in case anyone's asking questions.
Well, I also want to mention that for people who are having the issue of gray or dark roots or whatever, we do have some videos on the app that tell you how to do your own roots or your own hair, right? Didn't we have Denise Tierney?
Yeah, we have. It's actually not Denise. It's Amy Akiva, who's another wolfer.
Oh, okay.
A hairdresser who specializes in color. She did a piece for us on how to deal with coloring your hair. And I don't actually weirdly color my hair yet, which is amazing. But she had some good suggestions on what to buy and how to do it. Yeah. And then Denise Tierney did some great videos on how to cut your hair.
Yeah.
Bangs, how to cut your own hair, how to cut your man's hair, which I'm dying to try.
So let's talk about exercise. What are you doing? You said you're doing yoga. I know there's a lot of free stuff. I've been told. I've been told that Peloton you can sign up and it's free, and they have lots of non-bike exercises.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. Yeah. I didn't know that. There's so much free stuff. It's insane. So my thing is, I've been pretty much only online doing this guy named David Swenson, who I also learned about from Cara. And it's a yoga Ashtanga practice. And he has a video on YouTube. It's called 30-minute David Swenson Ashtanga. It's actually 40 minutes with the meditation at the end. And I love it. I've been doing it pretty much every day. I did it with my kids today. And then I've just been walking huge amounts. Like yesterday, I walked 7 miles by myself. So I actually I came home last night and my hips hurt. So I went online and ordered better sneakers because I have like cheap, like $50 whatever sneakers. And apparently if you're doing long distance, you might need more. So I've been walking. I posted something in the app. I bought a better bike because I had a really cheap bike out here. So I bought this kind of fancy-ish Linus bike. So I've been biking. Although biking makes me feel a little old because I have to say, if I bike for like an hour, I'm kind of tired.
An hour is a long time to bike. You said this to me on the phone. I'm like, well, yeah, an hour is, if you think about it, it's a long time to bike.
I don't know. I feel like I should be able to bike longer. But anyway, so that's been, and hula hooping. I have a hula hoop here. And so I'm going outside and hula hoop.
Playstead would be so proud of you.
Who would?
Susie Playstead.
Oh, I know. She totally
has a whole hula hoop meetup.
Susie's a wolfer, yeah, who has a hula hoop meetup class.
Well, so I'm still recovering from my foot surgery, so I can't do. I'm relearning how to walk and stuff. So I finally got a Zoom physical therapist who actually offered to come to my house, and I was like, no. Yeah. And so I'm doing that, but I also put my yoga mat, even though I'm the only wolfer who doesn't actually do yoga. Maybe I may be the only woman in Brooklyn my age.
I'm very after Hillary to do yoga. She has terrible balance and it concerns me.
But so far so good. Anyway, I put my yoga mat down. I turn on the NFL channel because, as you know, I'm a football fan and I miss sports. And I watch old games while I do a series of like leg lifts and crunches, and I have little 2-pound weights that I do thousands of reps with.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think honestly, that's like, me, my only exercise is tennis or biking or soul cycle or whatever. So I don't usually do that kind of.
Weights are super good. But that's where I do think, Hillary, you should be doing some yoga. I don't actually have any free weights here, but I feel like this David Swenson thing, there's a lot of chaturanga. And I think the being on your body weight is so important. And I think that's why walking is supposed to be good for us, because you're actually just on your body weight. I remember once the doctor told me
the walking bit has been really hard for me. So I'm just getting there. I'm still sort of like lurching a little bit. But anyway, enough.
Maybe next time we do this, Hillary, we should get Hannah as a guest, Hannah Casey, and we could just have her do yoga balancing exercises live.
That would be great because she's fantastic.
We love
So our final topic is really, how have you been coping when you get the blues? Because even though you said you're not suffering from major anxiety or depression, I just know from being your friend and talking to you that you occasionally, just like all of us, are really gobsmacked by sadness sometimes or boredom. So I can tell you what I've been doing.
What have you been doing?
So um, basically, I feel like if I put my face in the sun
Yeah.
for 15 minutes at least, I feel much more alive and better. And since I can't really walk that much, I feel very fortunate. I do have a, back deck, and I have a front stoop. So depending on where the sun is, I'll just sit there and just soak it up
Yeah.
for 15 minutes. And then the other thing is, I think, obviously keeping in touch with people is really, I think it's really easy to almost sort of fall away and let yourself fall through the cracks. And
yeah, no, that's true. Actually, I haven't been feeling that bad, but you're right. You just reminded me, right? There was that morning a few days ago where I really just didn't want to get out of bed. I just felt like, oh, what's the point?
it was Easter. I remember because you
Easter.
texted me.
I texted you and you were busy cooking. And then I ended up having a Zoom call with two other friends and Alex and Kami, and it got me out of bed. And I made my bed and I cleaned. I kind of fell into my routine. And I agree with you. I think part of the reason I've been feeling more or less okay is because I've been spending a lot of time outside. Like my boyfriend, John, keeps wanting me to come to Riverdale, but he is literally not leaving his house, like at all. And I go out every day.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, no, the air, the sun really makes a difference.
My husband, who's had clinical depression, most of his life, has always been a real proponent or an advocate to combat depression. You really have to have a routine.
Yeah.
And so for him, it's getting up, it's shaving, it's showering, it's getting dressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so much for me. You went to East Hampton for like a weekend, and you've been there now for a month. And I'm basically wearing the wardrobe of somebody who went to East Hampton for a weekend and stayed for a month. Because for whatever reason, I'm wearing the same 4 things like all the time.
God, I wonder if I would, because I have like 4 outfits here. I really have 2 exercise outfits that I just change, and my purple robe that I wear all the time, the zip up robe. This is a dress that I brought with me when I came out for that weekend, or maybe I was wearing it, so I thought I'd put it on today. But yeah, wearing the same stuff it just gets into a rut. I mean, you definitely have that, and we all have this right now, where you wake up in the morning and you're like, what day is today? John and I were talking this morning, and he was like, what are you going to do today? And I was like, really? What do you think I'm going to do today?
So I really think it's important. I mean, for me, I have 2 elderly relatives who are shut in that I can't see, and I speak to them every other day, which is a little bit exhausting, but I feel like it's really important to keep, that sort of keep in touch that way. And then I have some regularly scheduled Zoom calls with like former, people I used to work with, former colleagues, or, ladies from Saltaire or whatever, ladies of Brooklyn. Yeah. And then family Zooms and stuff with the cousins and the nieces and the nephews. And I feel like it's really hugely important for my mental health.
Totally. I mean, I FaceTime with I have 2 of my children here, and then 2 are not here. So the 2 that aren't here, we FaceTime constantly. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess now today's April 16th, 15th, 16th, I guess. And so
I missed I'm hoping New York State suspended the tax filing deadline yesterday, because I didn't file. So
they did to July.
Okay. Well, I know the federal government did, but I didn't know whether the state did or not.
I think they did. I think they followed suit, because I spoke to my accountant yesterday, and she was like, you are not a priority right now.
Okay.
She said she's really focusing on people who desperately need to get their returns so they can get some money back, or who really need enough time to know what they owe so they can figure out how the fuck to pay it.
Yeah.
So that must apply to New York as well.
All right. So it's, we're in for another month.
All right. So wait, what am I watching on TV tonight? Oh, I'm going to try Schitt's Creek.
Yeah. And you've got to get to at least episode 4 or 5, because you really slowly will start to fall in love with this family. And
do you think it's bad if I make another tuna casserole and eat a lot of it?
I think you should go for it.
Okay.
So that's it really for this episode of Raging Gracefully.
And Hillary's Raging. Well, we didn't talk too long. We've only been on for 38 minutes. So hopefully we haven't bored everyone.
2 fabulous gas bags like ourselves. So we want everyone to stay safe and stay sane and to stay at home. And
we love you all. And really join. Hillary hasn't joined actually yet. Last night, Tulani and Cara and Sherry were on, but these Wolfer cocktail parties are super fun. They're Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And for me, they've been one of the things that really are keeping me sane, because it's like I find with the people in my normal life, I get a little bored, like there's nothing to say. So it's fun meeting it's like new people, but they're not really new because we're in the community together. So it's fun.
it's been a little hard for me just because that's the time when my family's here and we're having dinner. And
No,
then
I know you're cooking.
it's like the only time I see my kids really is from dinner for about an hour and a half or 2 hours after that.
Yeah. No, it's all good. But anyone else who wants to join, do. Okay.
Definitely. Mwah, love you guys.
Talk to you later. This was
Till we
fun.
meet again.